If you've noticed yourself explaining your choices a little too much lately, softening your truth, trying to explain why you feel the way you do, justifying your pace, whether it looks like you're making impulsive, quick decisions or taking too long to think things through, maybe that time you take or the way you make decisions makes other people uncomfortable. Well, this is a week that you want to pay attention because the real question right now is, where do you stop explaining yourself and start standing by your choices? Because as an empath, we're picking up on a lot of energy that not everyone always picks up on. You might walk into the room or go to a restaurant and say, "Oh, it feels terrible here. The vibes are off." And your partner or your friends are like, "This is the hot new restaurant. It's got a great atmosphere, great music, great food. What do you mean it feels bad?" Right? It's hard to explain these things that we pick up, to articulate the feelings, the emotions. Maybe you meet someone and they feel off. I remember looking back to childhood, how many times there were certain adults that would come into my life, maybe family friends or even relatives, and they'd be like, "Oh, give so and so a hug." And you're like, "Ew, no, I don't want to be anywhere near that person, let alone let them hug me." And why? Because as a little energy sensitive, we're picking up on what's not being said, kind of what's happening between the lines. And many children are very much like that. We're kind of reasoned out of it as we age. It was funny, I was in a great learning conference, workshop, deep dive into astrology this weekend with the amazing Anne Ortley. And it came up, I was in class, and a friend of mine in class, her back was really bothering her. And so I said, "Oh, hey, are you up for it? I'll check it out." And so, using my yoga training, using my energy training, and the empathy and the intuition, I could pick up on the energy in her back, not only of sore muscles, let's say just from living life, because it's a little bit of everything, but there was also energy of other people that she was carrying in her back. And there's a story that the body holds. There's a wonderful book, The Body Keeps Score. But what you start to realize, the more that you engage in this world of energy and you honor your gift as an empath or a highly sensitive person, someone who's picking up on the vibes and the energy, is that there's a story almost like encoded in each moment, whether it's in the physical body or I'm looking around, whether it's in physical things. There's a really cool practice. I go into this in my energy alchemist training with psychometry. This is just a crystal, but crystals hold data and information too. Or maybe it's a ring. Jewelry is great for this, where you hold the item and you hear the story. Like you can feel it. And when I say hear, it's not necessarily in the literal sense, but it is in the idea that it comes through to you, the information, through one of your intuitive gifts, one of the clairs. And I'm not going to get too far off track with all of that for now, but as you hop on, say hello. Hello, Julie. Great to have you live with us. Julie just had a birthday not too long ago. And let's pull a card because I want to share with you what's in the stars and the cards ahead for you this week. Place your hand on your heart and take a deep breath. Part of learning how to navigate this world as a big feeling person is being able to stay in our heart center and grounded so that we can be discerning, because there's all sorts of unspeakable things that happen, that as we watch the news, as we listen to our friends, as we hear the stories, if we're not grounded and discerning, it can just go right into our heart or our stomach, essentially our energy field. And I say it whacks us because you feel it and you absorb it as if you were your own. So that's part of what this time together is all about in community, is coming together to practice, to say, okay, how can I prepare myself for the week ahead so I can still look for the good? I can still look for the light. I can still be loving and kind and hopeful and joyful, and yet grounded in reality and really realize what's going on around me. And to do that, we can utilize cards, we can utilize the moon. That's why I'm here to share with you what's happening with the rhythms of the moon, so you can be aware of those moments that might be hot points where you can harness the energy for good rather than letting it wreak havoc in your life or be kind of at the receiving end of the stick that doesn't feel so good. So we place our hands on our heart, and to ground, this is one of many ways. Just take a few deep belly breaths and imagine a beautiful column of light that runs from the very center of the heavens down through the crown of your head, down the throat, the heart, down through the upper belly, lower belly. There you go. And so lower belly, I'm just saying hello to that. We store a lot of emotions and feelings in our lower belly, second chakra. So for those who are watching live with me now, or even in the replay, I want to just bring a little bit more stabilization to that lower belly. So lower belly and even root. But the lower belly, it also connects with our resources. When we think about our community, relationships, finances, food. Good. Just take another deep belly breath. Because sometimes it's a matter of imagination. Sometimes we might have fear and worry hit us, but if we can go into that imaginative place, because more we stretch our imagination and suspend disbelief, we'll be open more so to the intuitive guidance that comes. Because sometimes the intuitive guidance that comes, we look at reality, like what we can see, touch, and taste and feel in this physical world, and we're like, that's never going to happen. But miracles happen. Be open to the miracles. There you go. That was it. And keep seeing the golden light from the center of the heavens now go down through pelvic floor, down between the legs, all the way through 6 layers of earth to the very core of Mother Earth. And I'm doing this quickly. I'll share with you a link to a slower practice, just a 2-minute one. And you can flush out of your space whatever isn't serving your highest. So if you have other people's thoughts, opinions, ideas, images from the news, the heartaches, swirling in the energy of it is going to exhaust you and drain you and make it very hard for you to take action or make a difference. So we're going to flush out, there you go, out of your space what isn't yours. And as you breathe in, imagine you're standing underneath a beautiful, bright, soothing sun, and this golden light just washes over your entire body, filling the spaces you've emptied and the spaces you created. And take a breath and just place a hand on the heart. And I'm going to just ask, what do you need to know for this week ahead? What's the most important thing? What message do you need to hear going into this week? All right, 4 of Wands, stability. Gather around your family, whether it's a soul family, whether it's your community, your people, essentially. And when I say people, what I really mean is gather around people. We're all each other's people. There's amazing ways to make connections. Isn't it so fun? I say this, it is very much personal. When you look at my chart, you can see why I'm so drawn to other cultures and ways of doing things. But I love to learn from other people. Like, how do you do this? Like, how do you cook this? Or how do you celebrate this holiday? Gather together and create stability. Because when we come together, there's power in numbers. There's strength, whether it's the beautiful saying where 2 or more are gathered in my name, in the name of Christ consciousness. We gather and we can raise our energy levels much more quickly, and it creates stability. Even in development circles, spiritual development circles, that's a way to develop your intuitive gifts in a much more productive way than if you were just sitting home alone. Again, why I created my Energy Alchemist program, which keep your eyes open, because I'll be sharing some more information on that soon. So I just want to say hello to other people who hopped on. Hello, Shannon. Great to have you. Susan, hello. Hello, Dominic. Great to have you. Great to have you. Brody, so wonderful. So welcome. So Let's talk about this week ahead. And hey, by the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Irina Miller. I'm a spiritual life guide, what I call an energy alchemist. I gather together many different sacred traditions to create unique energy recipes for you to harness the energy that's around, to have that heads up, essentially to step into the life you were born to live. And I am an astrologer, so I love to bring that in. And we're going to break the week down day by day, looking at where the moon is and how to harness that particular energy. All right. So we talk about the overarching energy of the week first. And why do I tune into the moon? Well, the moon, as a highly sensitive feeling person or big feeler or an empath, it's very wonderful to pay attention to what the moon's doing, because the moon in astrology rules our emotions and feelings. And the moon affects water and the tides of the ocean. Like when the moon is very close to the earth, we get these king tides. So sometimes we call that a super moon. And we can feel that. It may not, well, I'm not going to get into the technicality of it, but we can feel it. So with that being said, if you look at the energy of the moon this week, she's waning, means she's getting darker and darker and darker. We're going towards a new moon on Sunday, new moon in Capricorn. And when the moon is getting darker in the sky, usually our energy levels also kind of start to wane. We're not necessarily feeling as outgoing. We want to turn inward, become more reflective. The 3 days before the new moon, so like the end of this week, great for doing deep meditations. If you've been looking for guidance or answers, problem solving, take some time just to kind of step away from the world and listen. And when I say listen, it doesn't have to be any specific meditation practice or visualization. Just sit in the dark, listen to the sound of the vent, listen to the sound of your breath or the birds outside, set a timer for 5 minutes and just step away from the world, because it's going to enable you to really pinpoint what your intuition, what that guidance really sounds like. The other thing to take note of as we kind of look at the week ahead, other big things happening, and check my notes here. My notes didn't want to come up, is I want to say on Tuesday, there's a small void moon, of course, which just basically means another great time for reflecting, meditating. It's Tuesday night for us Eastern time, people, from 5:59 p.m. Eastern until 6:34 p.m. So for East Coast time or Eastern time, you might be driving home from work. You might be wrapping up your work day. For our friends on the West Coast, it might be, mid-afternoon. And whenever the moon is void of course, and for our friends across the pond, hopefully you'll be home in bed, snuggled. It's a time where you want to just kind of relax, kick back. When the moon is void of course, it's basically saying she's not doing anything, so neither should we. So we rest, because when we try to do things, what ends up happening is they seem to go nowhere. There's a common phrase that says nothing will come of it when the moon is void of course. And then we have another small void moon of course, boop, 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 Friday night from 6:19 p.m. Eastern until 6:47. Oh no, it's the AM, sorry. 6:19 a.m. So in the morning when you're getting ready for work, or hopefully you're sleeping on the West Coast. If you're across the pond, then it might be around lunchtime. So just plan accordingly. And there's a real short one on Sunday, but that's like just 18 minutes long. So we won't talk about him too much, but I'll mention him. Sunday, 4:56 p.m. until 5:18 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. And so when you know those little moments, those pockets in time, it's nice to just pause. And that void of course moon comes after the new moon. It gives you some time to reflect, like check in. Where am I going? I don't need to take action right now. I need to make sure that I'm on the right track. Okay, let's break down day by day what's happening. Monday. And Monday, we have the Scorpio Moon energy. So you might find with the Scorpio Moon that you really have great focus. There's an intensity. Sometimes there's almost a feeling of, I have to do this right now. I got to hone in on it and I can't do anything else. If that's the case, take a deep breath and step back and ask if it's really the best way to invest your time and energy. And it might be. I find that when the moon is in Scorpio, I can sometimes get fixated in one area and I just have to keep working on it until it's done. It may not be the best use of my time, but knowing that going in, I might choose a task ahead of time saying, oh, okay, I really need to have great focus for this particular work. I'm going to make sure I do it. So just give yourself some time to be honest with yourself on Monday. Scorpio Moon really asks us to kind of share that deep honesty. Let's look at the sides of ourselves that we might not always show in public, the parts of us that motivate us, maybe trip us up at times, and examine that and say, is this helping me or hurting me? Okay, what to know about Monday's energy. Most important thing to know, Ace of Swords. So Ace of Swords, she's upside down or reversed. The energy is same as right side up. There's just some kind of block to it. There's a slightly different layer. So it's kind of like the insights, the data, the information's coming through, but it's a little bit garbled. This reminds me of the game of telephone. You know, one person sends a message, they whisper it into someone else's ear, and then they whisper it into someone else's ear, and you go around in like a circle of people. And by the time it gets to the last person, they say the message out loud, and it's completely different than what the first person said because it gets changed as we pass it from one person to the next. In order to help the information come through with clarity, here's what we're going to pull another card. We're going to ask, okay, well, what can we do? If we're just feeling like, it's on the tip of my brain, but I can't quite say it, or I just can't quite, make out, or when I say make out the information, make out the details. What can you do to gain clear information? The sexy devil. Don't be tempted by the short wins or the quick wins. The beautiful devil temptation. And this artist, she's so funny because sometimes in tarot decks, you'll see the devil card and it's really scary looking. And you're like, oh, I'd be afraid of that. But this card is saying, the stuff that sometimes looks so good and so tempting can actually be, the thing that's the least in our highest interest, that it's the one that could be the most harmful. So today on Monday, look at the things that might tempt you and ask yourself, okay, is this a quick win, a quick feel good? Is this going to help me in the long run? Not that quick wins are bad, but is this going to really get me to my end goal? Because sometimes, we just get tired and we say, that's it. I'm going to just go for it. I'm going to just, you think about food, right? It's easy. Maybe you didn't have time to meal prep good, healthy, growing food. And you're just like, okay, I'm hungry. I'll just grab this quick snack because it's easy and it's there. But if you were to take the extra few minutes and eat something nutritious, you'll feel better later on. Little things like that. So I never like to end on that energy. So, okay. So watching the temptations on Monday, and what else do we need to know in order to help the information come through with clarity? Ace of Wands. So here's where the insight comes through. If you feel tempted to go for the quick win, that's not in your highest and best interest, or it might not even be the quick win. I'm just saying quick, for whatever reason that's coming through. Take a moment to move your body. Get up and shake. And like when you shake your body, you're resetting your nervous system. Maybe do a couple jumping jacks. Maybe just shake like a doggy. Shake it off and then take a few deep breaths and pause and ask for guidance. Okay, God, universe, what am I meant to do? What am I meant to know in this moment? Little things like that can make a big difference, especially if the information is coming through in slightly different ways. Okay, let's look at Tuesday. Tuesday, the moon is still in that beautiful Scorpio energy. We'll have a slight void of moon that I mentioned before. So take a moment to do the deeper healing work on Tuesday. And what I mean by that is if you have a yoga practice or you can do I really just feel like moving your body, stretching it, or going for a gentle walk can help you move that extra static that might have made the information garbled on Monday. You can move it up and out. You can clear your head. Walks are wonderful for clearing our heads and enabling the information and the data to come through with more ease. Know that the void moon, of course, that we have later on in the afternoon that I mentioned, or evening, depending on where you are. So it's about 6 p.m. Eastern until about 6:34 p.m. Eastern. Utilize that time to say, okay, I'll use that as reflective, journal, meditate, pause, and we'll pull a card. How can you make the most of of Tuesday's energy? I'm excited to jump ahead. All right. Beautiful, beautiful Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands, I see this card and my eye goes to the Black Stallion. There's a freedom, there's movement, there's fire. And Scorpio is ruled by the energy of Mars, which is fire. Even though Scorpio is a water planet and it's connected very much to the energy of stable, fixed water like ice, there's a fire moving through you. And sometimes within the Scorpio energy, it's not always seen the intensity and the passion to stick through it, the tenacity. So with this energy on Tuesday, what I'm going to encourage you to do is do something that lights you up, that you love, that brings a sense of freedom, that, maybe you do bang on your drums all day, or maybe you do something that I hesitate to say playful, because it's this feeling of freedom. It's this feeling of, all right, I'm going to let my hair down and I'm just going to allow myself to be fully me, not to censor, not to hold back, not to explain or to justify what I'm doing, what I'm picking up, but simply to express myself. And that can really be done so well through movement, through music, through the arts. When I talk about not explaining ourselves or justifying or defending our intuitive hits, a lot of times that's because other people kind of look at you sideways. And going back to my friend whose back I was working on, and it's like, oh, I touch and I say, oh, I feel so-and-so. I feel this kind of energy, this person. And it's confusing, right? If somebody's never said, oh, I'll never forget, I had a yoga student. This will be a fun example. And I was like, oh, who's being a pain in your ass? Because when I was working on the SI area and the piriformis, because she was having some pain there, I could feel the story. I could feel a male energy. And she was like, oh, it's going to be my husband. And I didn't lead the witness. I just said, who's being a pain in your ass? Thoughts find their target. So when we're thinking of someone, when we have a feeling, an emotion, a belief, if we're thinking that, it will get into their energy field. And it might manifest as a physical experience. And if we go around and we're like, oh, so-and-so is so mad at me. I'll say that at times. I'll be like, uh-oh, someone's so mad at me. People will look at me and they're like, Irina, no one's mad at you. I'm like, no, I can feel it. And sure enough, I'll get a message later on. But we don't have to justify. Why are you saying somebody feels mad at you? Why are you saying that the restaurant vibes feel off? Why? They wouldn't necessarily get it. And that's okay. And we can find other ways to express, like, oh, I don't feel comfortable here. Or, oh, I'm not feeling well. I'm sorry, I have a bad headache, or my stomach's upset. And you come up with your line of reasoning that other people would be more acceptable to understand. And I'll leave this last little example. I'll never forget, I have a beautiful fitness teacher and wellness teacher. And whenever you're trying to eat super healthy and you have to go to a party or something, she'd say, oh, rather than say, oh, I'm on a diet or I'm eating healthy or whatnot. And people are like, oh, come on, what's one little bite going to hurt, or one cheat meal, or da-da-da-da-da. You say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm allergic. And people respect that. They understand that. Like, oh, well, you can't eat that because So sometimes we have to find ways to navigate, but that's usually a way where we don't have to over-explain ourselves. Because when we over-explain ourselves in monologue, which I love to do, that's when manipulative energy from other people wins. They're going to always find a reason to address any of our I don't want to say excuses. What's the other word for it? Any of our holy cannoli. Any of our objections. There you go. Objections, right? Have you ever had that friend where you're like, oh, I can't come. I'm tired. I've got an early day tomorrow and I wanted to prep the food and I wanted to do this. And the friend's like, oh, well, we'll come home by 10. Don't worry. Prep food. Oh, that's okay. You know what? Just this week, just buy prepackaged food. You'll be okay. It'll be fine. Oh, you can sleep in tomorrow. Like they'll always find a way to work through. All right, enough monologuing from me. Wednesday, Sagittarius Moon. Sagittarius Moon, that Knight in Wands that came through for Tuesday, I really see the Sagittarius energy coming in through her. Sagittarius is connected to freedom. I just need to go. I need to be free. I need to get outside. You might find yourself speaking the truth a little bit more quickly, loose lips, so to speak. Mercury is opposing Jupiter. So the planet of communication, thought, intellect is trying to find a balance between going big and expanding and growing. So watch the way you're talking to yourself on Wednesday, the way you're talking and thinking about situations. Find the happy medium. I kind of laugh because it's like, if you ever have those friends who can really embellish stories well and tell a big adventurous story, and you're like, that sounds so cool. I wish I were with you. And then you realize, wait, I was on that adventure and it wasn't like that. Just going to watch those things. But Wednesday can give you more perspective and meaning. And we're going to just talk about and pull a card. How can you make the most of Wednesday's energy? The World. 21. Something is coming to completion. And new moons do require that. New moon on Sunday that's coming up is saying, all right, we're getting ready to plant the seed of a new dream. We're starting a new cycle. But that means we have to recognize that if we want, desire to start something new, we need to let go of something else. Some people will bring, they say, oh, if I bring an item into the house, I have to let something go. We're getting ready to make room. Something is coming to a close. So reflect, use those void moons, use the quiet reflective time as we're getting into that balsamic phase, it's called, really dark nights before the new moon. Say, okay, what is coming to a close? What's important that I need to let go of so that I can step into the next chapter? And a story I want to share really quickly about that is, and maybe this is like where that devil temptation comes in. I heard a great story from a gal this weekend in the astrology workshop where she had worked so hard to get this dream job. She'd gone to extra schooling, got extra certifications and degrees and credentials, and she landed this amazing dream job. And like the first week in the job, she was caught in a hurricane working on the job, and she was severely injured. And she thought, oh my God, like this job is trying to kill me. And she was hanging out and she was continuing, even though her intuition said, I think we need to let this go. I think we need to move on. But we go into the logic mind and we say, but this was my dream job. I worked so hard for it. I finally got here. This was supposed to be my all, my everything. But what she started to realize was she had to let go of that job in order to really access the pathway that was meant for her, that really was more in alignment with her heart's dream and desires. And I think how many times in life, especially at the beginning of the years, we're thinking vision boards and manifesting. We're like, I just want ABCXYZ. Everything will be better when I have it, or this can happen. What I want to say to that is take a moment to pause and go back into the feeling. What feeling are you wishing to engage with? What is the desire of the energy beneath the physicality or the description? What is the story? Hello, Hannah. So great to have you. And Jazz, great to have you back. Susan, have a great meeting. And let's pull a card for this Wednesday energy. How can you make the most of Wednesdays? Did I pull a card for Wednesday? I can't remember. Holy cannoli. But the card that comes out, I'm going to pull another one in case I did. The Knight of Swords reversed. So this is where we are letting other people's energy into our space. Right side up, you can see these birds represent other people's opinions, thoughts, ideas, chitter-chattering, distracting us. We have ideas of our own. So this is saying, keep your nose in your own business. What anybody else thinks of you is none of your business. But sometimes we get trapped up in that. We get trapped up in worrying. What are they going to think of me? Am I going to fit in? Am I going to belong? And that's very tribal and primal. For survival, we had to fit in, we had to blend. Otherwise, tribe has spoken, we get kicked out. And surviving on your own, centuries ago was a death sentence. We need each other. We still need each other. It's just changing these days. So remember, what anybody else thinks of you is none of your business. Love, love, love that. I learned that from one of my teachers many a moon ago. Okay, Thursday. As we get into Thursday, still in that Sagittarius moon energy, and Sagittarius energy is about having faith. It's about staying connected to hope. It's ruled by Jupiter. And it's saying, you know what? I'm going to open my heart to the beauty and the goodness in the world. I'm going to reconnect with hope. And it's not about spiritual bypassing or not accepting what really is in front of us. It's about being discerning. And like Mr. Rogers' mother said, look for the helpers in the situation. What can we do in this moment? And we look to that. And there's so many things that I want to speak on, but I'm going to leave that till the end of the video here. So in the meantime, let's pull a card for Thursday and just ask, how can you make the most of that Sagittarian moon? Okay, balance. Two of Pentacles. So this is, you could even think of it as budgeting. I need to budget my energy. I need to budget my resources. Resources are time, your physical energy, your money, your items, your possessions. Give yourself a moment to find what feels in divine right balance for you. And it might not be divine right balance for anybody else or for the person who wrote the formula, or is trying to help you on the path. I was thinking about this. There's a really cool astrology technique that I learned and went very deep into this weekend with Anne Ortley. And I've studied this with her before, but we did more work on it, called the pinball method. And so you look at your astrological chart, where the stars were when you were born, and you say, okay, well, how do I engage with energy? And I'll never forget that moment of realization where I say, oh, no wonder this is the way I act and behave the way I do. I can look at my chart and see that my soul really wanted to step into this lifetime and experience life in this way and share it that way with others. So when I start the energetic journey, my energy begins with Jupiter. And I'll explain what I mean by that. My early days of teaching yoga, the person I was studying with said, you have your Jupiter teachers and your Saturn teachers, and your Saturn teachers are the taskmasters. Okay. They're the ones who are not going to let you know that you're doing anything well. It has to be done so well to get any little ounce of praise. They're very structured, strict. They've got a plan, and they are the authority. They are in charge. And the Jupiter teachers are the complement. They're always very effusive, letting everybody know you're doing so great. They're the ones who give out like the awards for participation. I giggle. And they're the ones who are looking for the good. They're not looking for what's wrong in the pose or the situation. They're highlighting, wow, you're doing this really well. And you know what could make it even lighter and brighter and feel more fun? Move your hip a little bit like this, or open up your fingers, or turn your head. That's a Jupiter experience. So when I engage with the world, I'm going to begin with the Jupiter energy. And that's part of the reason why when we hop on, I'm like, look for the good, look for the beauty. And why I hate the phrases like, eat the frog first, do the hard thing first. My spirit's going to say, okay, wait a second. We need to make sure we have a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down. We want to be able to engage in such a way that we can step into hope, because it's also Jupiter, and have faith and be in awe and wonder. So that formula works well for me. You might come on and say, oh, Irina, you're being Pollyanna-ish, or you're doing this. And oh my gosh, believe me, I have to work hard with that Jupiter energy, because it is so easy to slip into the sadness, the swamp of sadness, to find the things that are wrong, but yeah, the faith, though, I'm very connected to. It's a beautiful thing. So what I share here, you might hear and you might say, I don't know that my spirit works that way. And if that's the case, you can always sign up for a reading with me if you want to know how you process energy. IrinaMiller.co/. Oops. I spelled it wrong. It should be stars. Let me do that again. irenamiller.co/stars. And we can look at your chart and let you know the way that you process energy, because other people's formulas might not work for you. You might have to come up with a plan before you can see the goodness. You might have to have some structure. You might have to take action. These little nuances make a big difference when we learn them about ourselves. Okay, let's keep going on. Friday. Friday's a Capricorn Moon, which is going to ask you to put some structure and steadiness to what you're doing. The Capricorn Moons are about, how do I want to say, the word effective isn't the one that I'm looking for, but what they're doing is they're very wise about how they utilize their resources. They're looking to do things well. They're looking to not get caught up in the emotion of the moment, but keep the big picture in mind and say, all right, there's no point in getting emotional or upset about this. Let's come up with a plan. Let's figure out a way forward and really respect that we have expertise or understanding in this area to make sound decisions. Okay, Friday. So what's most important that you can, lots want to jump out, that you need to know about Friday's energy. This guy wants to talk. Sexy devil again. Okay, holy cannoli. A lot of temptation this week. It's not easy, right? Because you think about the stories. Well, now this is interesting because I keep going back, to Jesus's adventure in the desert. Let's call it that, 40 days, 40 nights. And that's a Venusian cycle. And we are in this new Venusian reset point where Venus is saying, okay, let's check in. What do you really love? What are you willing to place your bets on, your energy, your intentions? We can be tempted. We can be offered something that looks so shiny and so beautiful and so good. But is it really, or is it going to essentially make us feel like we're trapped and we're all tied up? The devil energy isn't outside of us. What often happens when this card comes up is it's us. You have the power of choice. Even if you're in a situation where the temptation is coming from outside in, you have a choice. You always have a choice. Even in the situations where you feel like you don't, it could just simply be, I need to reframe this in my mind. Friday's energy with that Capricorn Moon, watch how much the word ambition comes to mind. Like sometimes we bite off more than we can chew. But there's something very big you want to accomplish. I would say, okay, that's great, but maybe I need to remember and reflect back. This is the balsamic moon phase, good reflecting time, that sometimes I'm setting myself up, we could be setting ourselves up for failure because the goals may not be realistic and down to earth and pragmatic. They might be very harsh on paper. Sure, it could work, but is that going to work for your soul and your being and the way that you came into this lifetime as a beautiful spiritual being having this experience? So how can you, what energy can you utilize, I'm going to ask, to move out of that temptation, justice? So balance. We see the cookies, we see the cake, and we say, okay, well, maybe everything in good measure and good balance, not to overdo, because the justice energy is, if we cheat, if we speed, if we eat the cookies, like we're going to get caught. We're going to feel the effects of it. Give yourself a moment to say, okay, everything in good measure and good balance. I'll go back to my wonderful fitness teacher that I love so much. Valerie's her name. And she would say, if you're on like a health journey, diet, whatever, right? And you're going to a birthday party and there's going to be cake and there's going to be cookies and you're trying not to eat that. Think about the thing that's not going to make you cry. If you go there and you're like, oh, everybody's having chocolate cake and I'm going to have my little carrot sticks or my celery sticks, that's going to make you cry. That's kind of setting up for failure. And that temptation is going to be all the stronger. So what if it's, okay, everybody's going to have the cake. I'll bring some dark chocolate. Okay, I can have dark chocolate, or maybe it's a piece of fruit that you really love. Who knows? But come up with a strategy that works for you. Very cool. Okay. Capricorn Moon on Saturday. So we're in that Capricorn energy, which can be very austere. It can be very, sometimes feels limiting. But Valerie's really in my mind today. She had another great quote that's discipline equals freedom. So if you are feeling like, I just want to do the fun devil thing. Okay, discipline equals freedom. I'm going to come up with a plan so that I don't veer. I'll be aware because I'll have that true conversation with myself Monday and Tuesday with the Scorpio Moon and realize that, because I was going to start a new eating routine this week. I want to get a little bit stronger with the new year, feel a little fitter. And already I'd had the meal plan ahead of time, but I was at the conference all weekend. I thought, I can still at least get the breakfast out easily, but was running late this morning. So I was like, I'll do my normal thing. It's easy, it's quick. And I did. And it's like, damn it. So I know, right? Oh, look at me. Holy cannoli. So like, all right, cancel, clear, delete. I'm going to restart. And that was another thing Valerie would say. She's like, don't wait until tomorrow. If you fall off, your path, then just say, okay, there's always the next meal. There's always the next, action that I'm doing. It's okay. We get up. we get up, we fall down 8, we get up 9. She would say that too. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to say hello to her. It was her birthday not too long ago. Okay. Sunday. So Sunday, the Capricorn New Moon. This new moon, powerful energy. And I'll share more about the new moon as we get closer. And Moon Club members, we've got our wonderful Moon Club gathering. Look to your calendar that I sent out. And I'll send out a reminder this week too about the details. New moons are times for planting new dreams. We have to make sure, though, we've let go of the old ones, that we've cleared them out. So that world card, remember, something's coming to completion. Pay attention to that. Honor that. And then as we get to the new moon on Sunday, I'm going to encourage you, the days ahead, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, spend some time. What is it that you really want to create as you're moving forward? Because Capricorn is visionary, CEO energy, boss babe, boss guy. What is it that you want to make a physical reality? And be realistic and practical and down to earth. It's all Capricorn qualities, pragmatism. We're not trying to bite off more than we can chew. We're paying attention to our innate natural tendencies. We start to recognize, okay, these are the places I get tripped up. Heard a great interview with James Clear, the guy who wrote Atomic Habits, and I like the way he phrases it. And I always knew this, but I never thought about it this way or phrased it. But when we have those friction points, they trip us up from creating good routines. And it could be something as simple as you wake up a little bit late and you think, and Valerie would talk about this too, you could just be 5 minutes off in your morning routine and say, well, now I can't work out. I remember back in the day, like when I first moved to Ohio, it would be, okay, if I don't get out to the gym by this time, like you'd have to get there like at 5:55 in order to get a machine because everybody kind of arrived at 6. So you had to plan accordingly. And if you overslept, it'd be like, well, damn, I'm not going to get a machine. So why even bother going? You can see the devil energies hanging around. It's so clearing. But little things like that. It could just be something as simple as they don't have water at the gym and I always forget my water bottle. So what's the point in going? Look at the points in your life where there's friction that would trip you up and maybe go more easily into that devil temptation. A little side note. Okay, so Sunday's new moon Capricorn. I'm going to just pull a card. How can you make the most of that energy? This is interesting this week. There's a lot going on, and maybe this is the opening to kind of talk about that. The Three of Swords comes up. So the Three of Swords is one where it can represent heartache. Honor the pain, honor the hearts with this new moon. So many people have these visions, and maybe there was a dream or a vision that didn't come through for you, or maybe there's heartache around it. Do some heart healing. And then even just the state of, where we live, wherever in the world that you live. I know for us here stateside, there's a lot of heartache and there's a lot of fear and frustration over current events. And it's important as people who are aware of energy that you know we're not powerless in situations like this. And we'll take some time right now. And if you can join in, that's great. If, I'm going to encourage you to, but just to bring an incredible awareness and uplifting energy. I'm choosing my words very mindfully here. Uplifting energy to what's going on. On a practical sense, I love to follow people like Heather Cox Richardson, who gives insights and details about what's happening for us here stateside. Writing letters, talking to our representatives, making our opinions and voices known, standing up and committing to what our hearts are sharing with us, and doing so in a very respectful and a very heart-centered way. There's all sorts of ways to deliver information and insight. And when we're grounded and when we're standing, and I use this phrase, it's an exercise called standing in your power. And what it does is it allows your voice to be heard. And I think what I want to do today is share that energy practice with you so that you know your voice makes a difference. This isn't about being king or queen of the castle or the hill. It's not about being manipulative. It's not about pushing your energy into certain ways or places, but it's about saying from an energetic front, how can I make a difference? How can I make this world, I hesitate to say better, but how can I make this world a place that recognizes our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, in addition to our physical actions, have long-lasting impact in this lifetime and beyond? How can we raise that awareness? So I invite you to take a few deep breaths. And as you take these deep breaths, bring your attention and awareness to the center of the chest, the heart space. You can place your hand on your heart there. And I'm going to just ask that the angels surround you, that they surround us. And as they surround us, we're going to go into a beautiful little archangel car. Take a moment to ask Archangel Michael to stand with you on your right side. And just offer incredible gratitude for the support of the angels, God, universe. We ask Archangel Gabriel to stand on our left to give us just the right words to communicate and share. Archangel Uriel to help clear a pathway in front of us, to remove obstacles or place obstacles. We ask Archangel Raphael to stand behind us, bringing through healing energy and love as we move. And we ask Archangel Raguel over the crown of her head, it's like a police officer angel, to make sure or to help the energy stay in alignment of respect. We ask for the help of Metatron and Sandalphon. And of course, your beautiful guardian angels. And as you're in this space, remember the beautiful column of light that's running through the very core of your body, from the center of the heavens down through the head, the throat, the heart, upper belly, lower belly, down between the legs to the center of the earth, grounded. Again, release anything in your space that isn't serving your highest, flushing it to the earth, and fill up with a beautiful golden light and a little bit of violet for peace. And as you're here in this space, bring your awareness now to the solar plexus, the third chakra, Manipura. And as you bring your awareness there, centered in your knowing of who you are, a child of the universe, beautiful spiritual being having this human experience, one that comes from love, and that is love, one that knows the effects, the results, the ripple, truly what happens from thoughts, from feelings, emotions. And imagine a beautiful green light from the soles of your feet going out to the four corners of the room. And you silently say to yourself, my floor. And imagine a beautiful golden light from the crown of your head going out to the four corners of the ceiling or to the sky. You can put points in the heavens. And you say, my ceiling, my sky. Acknowledge the walls in front of you, behind you, and on either side of you. And you say, my room, my space. And this is just to make room for your voice to be heard, to remember how impactful it is and how something like a letter, like you sharing your heart, again, in a very loving and respectful way, the difference that it can make. Take one more deep breath. With the gaze towards the floor, gently open your eyes. So it is. So thank you all for hanging out with me so very long. I'm thinking of all of you, and thank you so much for all of you who responded back to me about whether or not to keep these live on a Monday or to send them out earlier in a recording and make them ship shape and tight. And I was actually quite surprised. The majority of you, pretty much almost all of you, said that you enjoyed these lives, that the long form's okay. And it really hit me this morning as I was thinking Monday is the moon's day. And that's what we're here talking about, is the moon. So I will continue these Monday lives at 9:30 a.m. and I'll keep checking in with you because this is a space for you. And let me know what you want to see more of, less of. There's so much that I love to share with you. I've been practicing and working on this for over 3 decades. So 30 plus years of curated goodness I'm bringing to you. Much love to you. Many blessings. Remember, trust your vibes and follow your heart. Thank you for being here, Julie. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Susan and Jason, or Jazz. I want to say Jason, Brody. Great to have all of you here today. Dominic, thank you for being here too. Have a great day, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. Bye, guys. Next Monday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Same energy channel. Okay, bye.